I'm Kevin Odongo, born in a family of 8, 2 brothers and 6 sisters. I am the youngest in the family. I was born in a background of a poor family, whereby my dad and my mother were drunkards and they couldn't even be able to raise a family or to provide food, education, clothes, and everything that a human can need to live a perfect life. But this time now I can testify. Since the day I received Christ, since the day I met Him, I'm totally changed. Because even though I didn't go to school, even though I don't have grades, even though I didn't meet all the qualifications, but what I know that mercies of God is upon me. That's why I'm so much grateful today to share about my life story. I didn't believe that God exists, and even my family didn't believe that God exists, because no one used to go to church, no one prays, no one bothers about who God is. But I tried to see, like, if God exists, I believe then He can make people who run unto Him to be delivered. So I just started to pray to God whom I didn't know by then, but praying in the name of God whom I didn't know. And immediately I started to pray. I was battered in and broke up into tears and started to cry for God's help. It was like not prayer, but I started to complain to God about my life. And I prayed. And since my father, who didn't know whom God is, came in and chased me away, I ran out of the house and started to stay out in the wilderness for 4 days, praying and complaining about what I might have done wrong or where I came from, looking for my foundation, where I came from. So immediately after staying out in the wilderness for 4 days, I went back to school where I was supposed to sit for my KCPE. And my head teacher, who loved me very much because I was so much bright among the students, asked me if I had any problem, what might cause me not to sit for the examination. But I explained everything. And he promised to help me. And he called other teachers and gathered together and sorted out the money that I could be able to pay this school fee. So they paid for me the examinations, and I sat for the examinations. After all, I passed well, but I couldn't be able even again to join a higher school at a Form 1. So then I started to work out on tree plantations and like tree nurseries, to sell them if I can be able to raise up school fee to join a Form 1. But I did it for 1 year after doing my class 8. So for 1 year out, I was out of school, whereby the people from KARI, which is Kenya Research or Agricultural Institute, came in and asked me what I'm doing by then, and I was 15 years old by then. They asked me why am I doing that, planting the trees and selling it when I'm supposed to be at school. And I explained what is happening and said that they will assist me to join in. Yeah, they did, and I joined in a Form 1 in a school called Web Secondary, but I couldn't be able to raise funds from further studies. So it forced me to drop out because the officer who was in and who was responsible for my education was transferred to the other area. So we couldn't be able to communicate. So I dropped off school and I couldn't be able to complete my studies. After I dropped out from school, my brother-in-law decided to take me to Nairobi for further studies in college. My brother-in-law called me to Nairobi to study mechanical and automotive engineering as a part of life. I tried it and studied it, but I couldn't find the pleasure still, because I could go to school, I could do everything, I could go to the college and come back, but go out angry because there was not enough food. I couldn't even be able to afford the accommodations in school area, so I had to try it, to work it out. And one day when I was walking by the street after I came from the college, I got the street preachers preaching. They were talking about the dry bones from the book of Jeremiah 37. And I stayed, I listened for the message that they were speaking about. I feel like it touched my life. And I started to cry beside the road where they were preaching. Crying bitterly, maybe asking myself, what might it be that had dried in my life? Whether is it the education, is it the prosperity, is it the wealth, or what might be that would have been dried from my life? I asked myself such kind of questions several, complaining still to God, yet I didn't know that Christ is the Savior. So immediately when they continued on preaching, but when they finished up, they called if there is anyone who would like to know Christ who saves. I ran into them bitterly crying that if Jesus is able, saying to myself that if Jesus is able to save me, then I want him to save me from these all tragedies that I'm going through, whether it is of facing challenges, going through difficulties of life, not finding good qualities of education. So I get in and raised up my hand and confessed with my mouth that Jesus is Lord. I prayed, and the preacher came in and laid his hand upon me. Immediately I started to speak in tongues, and I didn't know whatever was happening. For almost an hour, I was confused. I didn't know whatever was happening, and when I wake up, when I come back to my senses, I get myself very dirty, full of dust, all over the body. But to me, I count it like it was a power of redemption, because I was redeemed from that. My mother, who was a drunkard, now she doesn't drink. My sisters, all of them are now married. My brother, who doesn't have a job now, he has a good job. I, who was not even able to speak in English, I can't be able to do it now. I couldn't be able to raise a family. Now I can have a good attire to put on. So to me, that was a power of redemption, and I'm so much happy because now I believe that Jesus is Lord, and he can also redeem whoever believes in him.